The ultimatum, the message arrived on a Tuesday, not with fanfare or ceremony, but as a simple transmission that bypassed every security protocol Earth possessed. It appeared simultaneously on every screen, every device, every communication network across the planet. The language was flawless, translated into every human tongue with disturbing precision. Primitive species of Sol 3. You are hereby claimed by the Zareth Dominion. Surrender your world within one planetary rotation or face annihilation. Resistance is futile. Compliance is survival. The United Earth Council convened within the hour. President Sarah Chen stood at the head of the crisis room, her fingers pressed against the polished table. Around her sat representatives from every nation, military advisors and scientists who'd spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. The room buzzed with controlled panic. "How many ships?" General Marcus Hayes asked, his weathered face illuminated by tactical displays. 300, replied Dr. Yuki Tanaka, chief of the Orbital Defense Initiative. And that's just what we can see. Their lead vessel is the size of Manhattan. Our best weapons barely qualify as firecrackers compared to their technology. What about the Luna Array? Someone suggested. Not ready. We'd need another 6 months minimum. The silence that followed was suffocating. Chen closed her eyes. Humanity had reached the stars only 30 years ago. They'd found ruins on Mars, ancient warnings carved into stone. They are watching. When they come, run. Everyone had assumed it was mythology, the remnants of some long-dead civilization's paranoia. They'd been wrong. "Madam President," Hayes said quietly, "we need to respond. If we don't, they'll interpret silence as weakness." Chen looked around the room. Every face showed the same thing, not fear, but something older. Something primal, the look of cornered animals who'd forgotten they had teeth. "Draft a response," she said. Single line. Hayes raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am?" "Trust me, General. They want an answer? Give them one they'll remember." 20 minutes later, the transmission went out across the stars, beamed directly to the Dominion flagship hovering beyond the moon. "Leave now. You don't understand what you're doing." Aboard the Sovereign's Wrath, Supreme Commander Vekthar read the human response and laughed, a harsh, clicking sound that resonated through his thorax. "They warn us?" He turned to his tactical officer, mandibles spread in what his species considered amusement. "A species that only just discovered antimatter propulsion warns the Dominion." "Sir, their probe data suggests significant military infrastructure. Underground complexes, orbital platforms, all primitive, all inadequate." Vekthar's claws tapped against his command throne. "The Dominion has conquered 400 worlds. We've eradicated species that had mastered quantum entanglement before these apes learned to make fire. Begin the assault." The fleet moved into position, a dark constellation of death surrounding the blue marble of Earth. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Vekthar commanded. "Let them hear their doom." His message was simple. "Your warning is noted and dismissed. Prepare for subjugation." Back on Earth, Chen watched the alien fleet descend through the upper atmosphere. Cities worldwide went dark as planned. Billions of people vanishing into prepared shelters, bunkers, and hiding places that had been constructed in secret over 3 decades. "All units. This is command," Hayes spoke into the secure channel. "Execute Protocol Lazarus. I repeat, execute Protocol Lazarus." Across the planet, military installations went silent. Armies melted into forests, naval vessels sank into deep trenches, aircraft disappeared into mountain hangars. Within 4 hours, Earth's surface appeared completely defenseless. The aliens landed in New York first. The city was empty. Not evacuated, empty. Buildings stood intact but lifeless. Streets lay bare. The Zareth soldiers advanced cautiously, their scanners finding nothing but the eerie silence of a ghost world. "Where are they?" a lieutenant asked Vekthar through comms. "Hiding. Like prey." Vekthar studied the tactical display. "Spread out, find them. Break them." What the Dominion didn't understand, what they couldn't understand, was that humans had learned war from Earth itself, and Earth was very, very good at killing. The first shots came from a mile away. A Zareth soldier's head exploded without warning. Then another. Then 5 more. By the time they located the source, the sniper had vanished into the subway system. In London, an entire platoon disappeared into the sewers, their screams echoing through the tunnels before cutting off abruptly. In Tokyo, buildings that seemed empty suddenly weren't. Ambushes erupted from within walls, From beneath streets, from shadows that shouldn't have existed. They're everywhere. A panicked report crackled through Dominion channels. We can't see them. They're in the walls under the ground. Vekthar's confidence began to crack. Orbital bombardment. Level the cities. Flush them out. Sir, our bombardment vessels, they're not responding. What? They've gone dark. All 6 of them. They were there and then nothing. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. For the first time in his career, Supreme Commander Vekthar felt something unfamiliar crawl up his spine. It felt like fear. And somewhere beneath the lunar surface, something ancient began to wake up. Something humanity had built and sworn never to use again. Something that made the Zareth Dominion's weapons look like children's toys. The humans had sent a warning. Run. The Dominion was about to learn why. The Hunt Supreme Commander. Vekthar stared at the tactical display, watching red markers blink out one by one. 6 orbital bombardment vessels, each capable of glassing a continent, simply ceased to exist within a 3-hour window. No distress calls. No weapon signatures. Just silence. Get me visual confirmation, he demanded, his voice tight. The main screen flickered to life, showing grainy footage from a reconnaissance drone. What it revealed made Vekthar's blood run cold. The bombardment vessels hadn't been destroyed. They'd been disassembled. Hulls peeled open like fruit. Vital systems extracted with surgical precision. Crews gone. And floating in the debris field, barely visible against the black of space, were shapes. Small craft perhaps, or something else entirely. Whatever they were, they vanished before the drone could focus. Sir, ground forces are requesting immediate extraction, his tactical officer reported, voice trembling. Casualties are at 40% and rising. They can't hold position anywhere. The enemy is what? Vekthar snapped. Everywhere and nowhere, sir. They don't fight like any species we've encountered. In the ruins of New York, Lieutenant Xantar of the Dominion's elite shock troops crouched behind an overturned vehicle, his breathing rapid. His squad of 12 had been 25 when they'd entered the city 6 hours ago. Movement, Sector 3, someone shouted. They fired blindly, into the darkness of a subway entrance. Nothing, the echo of their weapons faded into oppressive silence. Then the lights went. Out, not the streetlights, those had been dark for days. Their helmet displays, their weapon sights. Everything electronic died simultaneously. In the pitch black, Xantar heard it. Footsteps. Not running, walking, calm, deliberate. Multiple sets surrounding them. Night vision. He screamed, fumbling for his backup optics. By the time his vision adjusted, he was alone. His entire squad gone. And on the wall beside him, spray-painted in luminescent paint, were words in his own language. You were warned. Run. President Chen watched the reports flow in from command. The numbers were staggering. Humanity was losing territory, yes, but the aliens were losing something far more valuable. Morale. They expected a war, General Hayes said, a grim smile on his face. We're giving them a nightmare. The guerrilla strategy is working, Dr. Tanaka confirmed. Every city they occupy becomes a death trap. The Amazon Protocol has been especially effective. They lost an entire division in the Brazilian rainforest yesterday. The survivors are reporting demons hunting them, Chen nodded. And the Luna facility? Tanaka's expression darkened. Active. Charging at 37%. If we reach full power... We won't need to, Chen interrupted. This isn't about winning through superior firepower. It's about making them understand what humanity is. And what is that, Madam President? Survivors. Born from a world that tried to kill us for 3 million years. They brought warships. We brought evolution. Aboard the Sovereign's Wrath, Vekthar's command staff had dwindled. Some had requested reassignment. Others had simply stopped reporting for duty, paralyzed by something the Dominion had never experienced. Doubt. The Council demands an update, his communications officer said weakly. They want to know why we haven't secured the planet. Vekthar's mandibles clicked in frustration. How could he explain? The humans had no fleet to speak of, no orbital defenses, nothing that matched Dominion technology. Yet they were winning. Show them this, Vekthar said, pulling up footage from a helmet cam. The recording showed a squad entering an abandoned hospital in Mumbai. Standard sweep. Thermal imaging showed heat signatures. Civilians, they assumed. When they breached the room, they found mannequins wrapped in heating coils. The explosion that followed wasn't chemical or nuclear. It was worse. The building collapsed inward, triggering a cascading trap system. Floors fell, walls shifted, and the entire structure became a killing box. The soldiers who survived the initial collapse found themselves in darkness, lost in a maze of corridors that hadn't existed in the original blueprints. They were hunted down one by one. The helmet cams caught only glimpses, shadows moving impossibly fast, whispered voices in the dark, and eyes, human eyes, reflecting light like predators. "This is what we face," Vecthar said. "They don't defend. They adapt, they hunt. Every structure is a trap. Every shadow hides a killer. We're not fighting an army. We're fighting the planet itself." "Then we destroy the planet," came a voice from the doorway. Vecthar turned to see High Inquisitor Zareth, the Council's representative, stride into the command center. The Inquisitor's reputation preceded him, ruthless, efficient, and utterly without mercy. "We have the firepower," Zareth continued. "Crack the crust. Boil the oceans. Render it uninhabitable. That would be efficient. These creatures have humiliated the Dominion. We will make an example." Vecthar wanted to argue, but protocol demanded obedience. "As you command, Inquisitor. Prepare the World Breaker Array, target their cities, their oceans, their atmosphere. Leave nothing." The transmission reached Earth Command within minutes. An anonymous Dominion officer, one of the few who'd retained their conscience, sent a warning through encrypted channels. "They're going to break the planet. World Breaker Array, 30 hours until firing position." Chen closed her eyes. Humanity had survived plagues, wars, climate collapse, and near extinction. They'd clawed their way up from the ashes of their own mistakes time and time again. But this was different. "General Hayes," she said quietly, "activate the Eschaton engine." The room went silent. "Ma'am," Hayes said carefully. "The Eschaton protocol was sealed after the Third World War. We swore never to—" "I know what we swore. But if we don't act now, there won't be a humanity left to keep that promise. Activate it." Dr. Tanaka's hands shook as she entered the authorization codes. God forgive us, deep beneath the moon's surface, in a facility constructed during humanity's darkest hour, ancient machinery began to hum. The Eschaton engine wasn't a weapon, not in any conventional sense. It was humanity's answer to their own self-destructive nature, built during the final days of the Third World War, when nuclear annihilation seemed inevitable. Scientists had cracked something fundamental, something that bent the laws of physics themselves. They'd looked into the abyss of their own extinction and built a tool that could reach back. As the engine powered up, space itself began to bend aboard the Sovereign's wrath. Every sensor went haywire simultaneously. "Sir," the tactical officer screamed, "we're detecting gravitational anomalies. They're coming from everywhere. The moon, the planet, the view screen showed it. Reality was tearing, and through those tears came light. Not ordinary light, but something that hurt to look at. Something that existed in colors the Dominion had no names for." Vecthar finally understood the warning. The humans hadn't been threatening the Dominion. They'd been trying to save them. The reckoning, the Eschaton engine didn't destroy. It unmade. High Inquisitor Zareth watched his instruments fail one by one, each screen dissolving into cascading errors that defied physics. His mandibles trembled, not from fear but from the sheer impossibility of what his sensors were telling him. "Report," he demanded. "Sir, spatial integrity is collapsing in a 12 million kilometer radius around the lunar body," the science officer stammered. "Quantum fluctuations are, it's reading negative mass, sir. Matter is exhibiting properties that shouldn't exist. The laws of thermodynamics are being—" The officer's words cut off as the view screen cleared, showing what lurked beneath the moon's scarred surface. It was beautiful and terrible. A structure of pure geometry, angles that hurt to comprehend, pulsing with light that existed in spectrums the Dominion sensors couldn't measure. It looked ancient and newborn simultaneously, as if it had always existed and was just now being born from the fabric of reality itself. Around it, space folded like paper. "What is that?" Zareth whispered. Supreme Commander Vecthar's voice came through, hollow with resignation. "That, Inquisitor, is what happens when a species learns to weaponize its own extinction. The humans didn't just survive their wars, they learned from them. 300 kilometers away, aboard the Dominion frigate Relentless, Captain Court watched his ship begin to dissolve. Not explode, not break apart, dissolve. The hull started at the bow, molecular bonds simply ceasing to function. Metal became dust, became nothing, and it was spreading. His crew screamed, scrambling for escape pods, but the pods were already gone, unmade before they could launch. Court activated his personal log, his final act as captain. To whoever finds this, the humans were right. We should have run. They didn't warn us about their weapons. They warned us about themselves. They are a species that stared into the void of their own annihilation and chose to harness it rather than surrender to it. We are not fighting warriors. We are fighting survivors who refuse to die. Tell the council. The transmission ended as Court joined his ship in non-existence. On Earth, President Chen stood in the command bunker, watching the tactical display. Green markers, representing Dominion vessels, were blinking out at an exponential rate. The eschaton field was expanding, unmaking everything it touched. 70 ships destroyed, Dr. Tanaka reported, her voice numb. 100, 150. Ma'am, at this rate, we'll eliminate their entire fleet in 40 minutes. General Hayes looked at Chen. The question is, do we stop there? Chen's jaw tightened. She'd authorized the activation, knowing full well what it meant. The eschaton engine didn't discriminate. Once unleashed, it would continue expanding until manually shut down. It could consume the Dominion fleet, their homeworld, their entire empire if given enough time. It could unmake galaxies. Broadcast on all Dominion frequencies, Chen said. Let them hear this. She stepped up to the comm station and spoke, her words transmitted across the void. Zareth Dominion. This is President Sarah Chen of the United Earth Council. You came to our world with 300 warships. You offered us subjugation or death. We offered you mercy. You laughed. Now you understand why we told you to run. This weapon, this engine, was built by humans during our darkest hour. When we nearly destroyed ourselves, we learned to weaponize reality itself because we refused to die. We sealed it away and swore never to use it again. But you left us no choice. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. We are not warriors by nature. We are survivors by necessity. Earth is a death world. It has killed 99% of every species that ever lived here. We are the 1% that refuse to quit. We are the descendants of prey that learned to hunt, of gatherers that built civilizations, of tribes that reached for the stars. You saw our cities and thought us weak. You didn't understand that our cities are just the scars we left while learning to survive. This planet tried to kill us for 3 million years. It failed. You will too. The transmission crackled with interference as more Dominion ships winked out of existence. I am giving you one chance. The same chance we gave you before. Retreat now. Spread the word. Tell every empire, every dominion, every conquest-hungry species in this galaxy. Earth is not for claiming. Humanity is not for subjugation. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we refuse to die, and we have learned to be very, very good at survival. Aboard the Sovereign's Wrath, Vecthar made his decision. All ships, full retreat. Maximum velocity. Abandon tactical formation, just run. High Inquisitor Zareth turned on him, fury in his eyes. You dare defy? Look! Vecthar roared, gesturing at the view screen. 50 more ships had vanished. The eschaton field was accelerating, space itself unraveling like thread. And in the distance, through the tearing fabric of reality, they could see Earth, small, blue, impossibly fragile, surrounded by a sphere of absolute destruction that it controlled completely. They could end us all right now, Vecthar said quietly. They could let that field expand until it consumed our homeworld. But they're giving us a chance, because unlike us, they understand mercy. They've killed each other by the billions. They know the cost, and they're choosing to let us live. So we run, Inquisitor. We run and we pray they keep that mercy. Zareth stared at the dying fleet, at the impossible weapon, at the small planet that had just redefined power in the galaxy. His pride shattered like glass. Retreat, he whispered. Signal all Dominion forces. Full withdrawal. The eschaton field stopped expanding at Chen's command, freezing at a radius of 15 million kilometers. Of the 300 Dominion warships, 73 remained. They fled in disarray, jumping to hyperspace the moment they cleared the field's influence. In the command bunker, silence reigned. Casualties? Chen asked. Minimal, ma'am. The guerrilla strategy worked. Total military deaths 1,200. Civilian deaths 300. Dominion deaths. Hayes paused. Approximately 45,000. Chen closed her eyes. 45,000 lives gone unmade. The weight settled on her shoulders like a physical thing. Begin shutdown procedures on the Escaton engine. I want it sealed again. New protocols. New safeguards. That weapon must never— Ma'am, Dr. Tanaka interrupted, pointing at her console. We're receiving transmissions. Thousands of them, from across the galaxy. The Dominion? No, everyone else. Species we've never made contact with. Some of these signals are coming from civilizations hundreds of light years away. They all saw what happened. The Dominion broadcast the engagement data across their networks before fleeing. Everyone knows now. Chen felt her stomach drop. What are they saying? Tanaka scrolled through the translations, her face pale. Most of them are requests for diplomatic contact, alliance offers, trade agreements. But ma'am, there's a pattern. They all use the same phrase, which is, we come in peace. We mean no harm. And they're all saying they received our message. The one we carved into the Martian ruins 30 years ago. Chen's blood went cold. What message? We found ruins on Mars, we didn't leave any. Hayes pulled up the archaeological data, the ancient warning they'd discovered. They are watching. When they come, run. Ma'am, Hayes said slowly. The linguistic analysis team just finished their deep scan. The inscription isn't ancient. The weathering is artificial. The writing. It's in Proto-Germanic, a human language, from Earth. The room went silent as the implications settled in. Time loop, Dr. Tanaka breathed. The Eschaton engine doesn't just unmake matter. It touches time. We left that warning. Not someone else, us, in the future. We've been preparing for this moment for 30 years because we knew it was coming. Because we already survived it. Chen laughed, a short, sharp sound bordering on hysteria. So we warned ourselves, prepared ourselves, turned Earth into a fortress because we knew the Dominion would come. And when they did, we told them to run, Hayes finished. Just like we told ourselves. 3 million years of evolution, 30 years of preparation. One word, run. 6 months later, the galactic community convened for the first time in 3 centuries. Representatives from 200 species gathered in neutral space to discuss the new reality. Humanity had arrived. The Dominion sent no delegates. Their empire, once spanning 400 worlds, had fractured. Their client species had declared independence. Their military reputation lay in ruins. And across the galaxy, a new phrase had entered common language: Death World species. Earth was classified as a Class 12 Death World, the highest rating possible. A planet so hostile that any species evolving there would be, by definition, unkillable. And humanity wore that classification like armor. President Chen addressed the assembly via hologram, her image projected above the gathering. We did not ask to join your community through violence. We wanted peace. But the Dominion taught us that peace is not given. It's earned through strength. We have that strength. We could have ended them. We chose mercy instead. Remember that. Remember that humans fight when we must, but we prefer to build, to explore, to learn. We are survivors, yes, but we are also dreamers. Poets, artists, scientists. We contain multitudes. We are capable of great destruction and great creation. Choose which side you want to see. The assembly voted unanimously. Earth would be granted sovereign status. No empire would claim it. No fleet would threaten it. Humanity would be left alone, respected, feared, and free. Back on Earth in a quiet ceremony, Chen unveiled a new monument in New York's Central Park, rebuilt after the invasion. It was simple. A black stone pillar with a single word carved in every known language in the galaxy. Run. Not as a threat. As a reminder that humanity had been prey once, that they'd been hunted, threatened, nearly extinguished, and they'd survived. They'd adapted. They'd thrived. And if threatened again, they wouldn't hesitate. They'd simply send a warning first because that's what survivors do. They give you a chance. And if you don't take it, that's on you. Epilogue. High Inquisitor Zareth lived out his remaining years in exile, writing a memoir that became required reading in Dominion military academies. The final passage read, "We thought we were apex predators entering a petting zoo. We learned we were prey wandering into a tiger's den. The humans didn't defeat us with superior technology. They defeated us with something far more terrifying: the absolute refusal to accept defeat. They are a species forged in extinction events, tempered by ice ages, sharpened by millennia of warfare. They don't fight to win. They fight because it's in their DNA. And when cornered, when faced with annihilation, they don't surrender. They evolve. Learn this lesson well. Never threaten a species that has survived its own world. Never challenge survivors who have learned to weaponize their own extinction. And above all, when they tell you to run, you run. The galaxy learned, and humanity, they returned to what they did best: surviving, thriving, and reaching for the stars, knowing that the universe now understood what it meant to be human, to refuse to die, to adapt, to survive, to be indomitable.